Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Code Relays. We're going to be continuing down part 3 of Lupin's after story. Lupin and Cardia had just made up, and she's going into a dream now, which I left off at the end of the last chapter. I went back and ended after they made up in the sunset because it kept going, and so I figured I would just cut it out and put it into a third episode because of how long it went. So let's continue. I dreamt of times long since past. I was surrounded by a garden resplendent with flowers in full bloom, carefully making my way around its paths. Red flowers, yellow and blue. I pluck each one with care, arranging them into a bouquet. A kaleidoscope of blooms fairly bursts with life in my hands, neither wilting nor crumbling. That's when I realize the dream me is not me at all. I am witnessing fragments of memory written into the tissue from which I was partly fashioned. I am about to step into my bedchamber where both ends are overflowing with flowers. I mean to decorate it, arranging the blooms amidst the stuffed animal menagerie father had given me. But as soon as I open the door, the bundle of flowers crumbles, falling dead to the floorboards. The door shuts with a dull thud as if to imprison me. Only moonlight illuminates the gloomy interior. Instead, on my feet, I stumble forward and collapse to the chair at the center of the room. There I hear Father's voice echo all around me, speaking words I had heard countless times before. Father's voice gently calling my name. Father's voice speaking words repeated in my head hundreds upon thousands of times. Cardia. And so I wonder why his ever-present voice now feels unimaginably far away. Then I am sure it is because Father's words were never spoken to me. They had been spoken to the me who came before. I open my eyes and gradually return to my body. Curiously, I feel wide awake despite just having risen.
No. Cardia, 起こしちまったか?
Lupin, clearly still awake even at this hour, looked at me in apparent surprise. I shake my head no and avert my eyes. Right now, looking up at him was more than I could take.
どうした? 悪い夢でも見たか?
I'm still not sure I would label it a bad dream, but it was a very, very sad dream from before I was born, a long time ago. I collect scraps of a dream memory before they can evaporate and piece the tale back together for him. Lupin falls silent and listens patiently. It was me, but not myself. It was a vision of memories not my own, things I witnessed only beyond the veil of dreaming. Remnants of a time when I still lived. Father was there, although I did not yet know him. Yet I remember his voice. I remember him tenderly stroking my hair. But there is little else I know of my true father, the living man. Isaac Beckford, a genius who brought about scientific revolution, a man who called me daughter. I wonder if that man truly was my father. I had been thinking aloud. Now that the idea was voiced out in the open, I couldn't shake it.
そりゃ、どういう意味だ?
I just can't make up my mind about it. He said it, I heard him. His natural daughter Cardia and I are separate beings. I'm nothing but an imitation. Father, Isaac, thought of the natural-born Cardia as his daughter, not me. This is the hard truth I am confronted with. And yet he also addressed me now as his daughter. It's also confusing. I sincerely believe that he loved me, but I'm not her. It's true, I felt it deep inside, even after witnessing the horror of my mute dead sisters encased in glass. Deep down, I believed. Isaac and I were family. He did reject me as an imitation, but at the very end...
家族一生二度と離れないまたみんなで一緒に幸せに笑って愛して
I couldn't grasp his feelings entirely, but I realized that then he just wanted to be reunited with his beloved family.
だから余計にわからなくなっちまってるってことか。
An unspeakably cruel scientist playing God with human lives, a loving father who cared for his family above all else. Which of these was the real Isaac? I didn't know enough about the man to arrive at a conclusion. If the true Isaac had been both of these, the goal he could only realize by altering his physique so completely was... The past is done, yet I still wonder, if we'd had more time together, if we'd talked, would things have changed? Could I have found out what father was really thinking? Now that he and Finis are gone, I can only guess at his true intentions through my fragmented scraps of memory. I'll probably never know what they were.
他人の気持ちなんてわからなくて当たり前だ。
Lupin caresses my hair fondly. The warmth of his touch is completely different from father's. I could tell he was genuinely concerned for me.
せいぜいわかるのは自分の気持ちだけ。まあ、その自分の気持ちってのも持て余し気味だがよ。だから、アイザックの気持ちはわからなくても、お前自身の気持ちならわかるだろ。
My own feelings.
そうさ。言ってみな。お前はアイザックをどう思ってる？
Isaac Beckford. I think I had to find an extra dose of courage to say it aloud. It was right in front of me, of course. Looking into the eyes of the most precious person in the world gave me the strength to continue, my new family. I still want to think of him as my father. Even now, I want to remember him as family. There it was. Hearing myself say the words aloud, my wish grows even stronger. I'm a reflection of Cardia. I never was Isaac's real daughter and never will be, but I know in my heart of hearts the love father felt for me was no reflection, it was real. Father tenderly stroking my hair, father lovingly whispering into my ear. It's a simple fact I remember being loved. I can't reject that, it would be wrong. Lupin smiles gently.
そうか。それがお前の思いなんだな。
I do, but... Finis, my younger brother, who wished so desperately to be loved. He called himself a doll, even a tool. Did father have any love for him? My sense that he did not, versus my hope that he did, all mixed up in my heart. I'm at a loss for words. The two contrasting views I have of Isaac waver behind my closed eyes, warping and distorting.
無理に整理する必要はねえさ。それこそ一生かかったっていい。俺を巻き込んだって構わね
え。Include me in this.
つうか、お前が辛そうに考え込むなら、俺は勝手に巻き込まれに行って、勝手に手を貸すぜ。
He says this with such good cheer, I can't help but wonder if he's intentionally putting on a show. Either way, it's so considerate and warm. Thank you, Lupin.
礼を言うことでもねえだろ。
Tonight, I learned that saying things out loud can make nebulous, wordless ideas more clear. I just wanted to know, still want to know, who Isaac Beckford really was. Yet even thinking of Isaac as family, as father, no matter how much more I tried to discover about him, It won't change the here and now one bit. It doesn't matter how much I want to know what Isaac's true feelings were, there's no way to find out. Of course not. Isaac is long since.
知りたければ聞きゃいいだけの話だろ。
What? He says this with such straightforward sincerity, I turn to stare at him.
諦めるのはまだ早いんじゃねえか。
Do you have an idea? Of course he does. Lupin would never say such a thing if he didn't already have one of his inspired plans brewing. Excited but afraid to let blind optimism take control, I ask again. And sure enough, he flashes his invincible grin. Invisible.
目の前にいるこの俺を誰だと思ってる。天下の大泥棒、アルセーヌ・ルパン様だぜ。お前さえ願うなら、俺はお前の願いを叶えに行く。泥棒紳士はいつだって愛しいお嬢さんの味方なんだからよ。さあ、言ってみな。
If he can really grant it, I want to know. I want to know who Isaac really was, what was in his heart.
よく言った。任せときな、お嬢さん。
Having played his customary gentleman thief role, Lupin gently pats me on the shoulder.
でもまあ、詳しいことはまた明日だ。今夜はゆっくり眠っとけ。
I can't possibly sleep after what you just said. I realized it just sounded like a petulant child. But Lupin is unfazed. In fact, he looks strangely happy.
そう言わずに、お嬢さん。共に眠りへと旅立とうではありませんか。きっと良い夢を導いてご覧に入れましょう。
He's such a smooth talker. Upon a boat made of dreams. Someone seems to be enjoying himself.
そうか？まあ、お前のために何かができるってのは嬉しいし、楽しいとは思っちまうよ。ですから、どうかゆっくりお休みを。期待に恥じない働きをしてご覧に入れますよ。愛しいマイレディ。
Alright, I'll try my best to sleep.
頑張るのかよ。なんつうかそういうとこ変わらねえな。
Afterward, I drift off into sleep, cradled in Lupin's arms. I don't know if I had any dreams, but I do know I slept soundly. The gentleman thief had rid my mind of worry. That's cute. Is it strange that I don't remember any of this from the after story? I just like blankly put it out of my mind. The next day, I'm sure I'll remember when I see a CG, but still. Lupin didn't return to the mansion until the sun was setting. He had been away since morning. Lupin, what were you up to all day?
なーに、ちょいと犯行予告をね。
Criminal intent. What? A public what?
まあ詳しくは言ってからのお楽しみってな。
Oh my goodness, what did you do?
今回はお前にも働いてもらうぜ。夜に動くから今のうちに寝とけよ。
You got you roped up in a crime. Sometime after Lupin said those words, after the citizenry of London was bed, you did not tell me about this. They're in the castle. He didn't. He never said anything about breaking into a royal residence.
驚いたか？
I sigh heavily, hiding in the shadows of the enormous hallway. Surprise doesn't begin to cover it. Buckingham Palace was the last place I expected to find myself tonight. When we left the mansion, you said, and I quote, "We're just letting ourselves into an acquaintance's place, no big deal."
おいおい、嘘つき扱いは心外だな。女王様んちなんだから、人んちってのは間違ってねえだろ。
Lupin shrugs nonchalantly. I breathe my second heavy sigh of the night. It's too late to back up now. I know, if you wanted to back out, it would have been when you first arrived at the palace. I have no choice but to finish what we came here for and not get spotted. We wait until the guard on patrol turns the corner and sprint down the hallway, suppressing the sound of our footsteps. Slipping through security, we make our way deeper into the palace interior. I draw up my mental map of the palace. If memory serves, this is where Victoria was besieged during that awful battle. We're nearly at the heart of the palace now. How far does Lupin intend to go?
よし。この先一旦中庭に出る。気抜くなよ。
I nod and look pointedly ahead. This may be one of the tricks Lupin pulled while he was out all day. There are very few guardsmen anywhere. Cautiously assessing our surroundings, Lupin points forward.
さて、そろそろ合流地点だ。
Rendezvous with who? Who are we rendezvousing with? I can only assume Lupin arranged to have an ally join us while I was at the mansion. But when I step out to the courtyard, the figure waiting for us was not one I expected to see. I knew it. Lionheart. Those brows knit up in unease, that mouth twisted into an upset grimace. There was no mistaking his ill-tempered scout. Imperial Guard Captain Rampart Reinhardt stood there, ramrod straight. He's probably like cashing in on the favor that they owe Lupin for saving the queen. And now, of all times, Lupin, we have to...
いいんだよ。今夜はな。
Pay me no mind whatsoever. Lupin crawls out of the bushes we're hiding in. Then he walks right up to Lionheart, arms raised in mock surrender.
よ、レオンのおっさん。道案内ご苦労さん。
誰がおっさんだ。慣れ慣れしく話しかけるな、こそ泥め。
Wretched housebreaker.
今さら何言ってんだよ。共に国と女王陛下を守った仲じゃねえか。
あれはやむを得ぬその場の判断でだな。
It was such a poor attempt at an excuse, I'm unable to hold in a giggle. Captain, what did Lupin mean by tour guide? Lionheart's features contort into the most extraordinary example of displeasure I've ever seen on a human face. Compared to the amiably grinning Lupin standing beside him, it was almost sad.
女王陛下の命令である。君たちをとある場所へ案内するようにとの直々のお達しだ。
ありがとうよ、レオンのおっさん。じゃ、よろしく頼むぜ。
触るな、肩を組むな、慣れ慣れしく話しかけるな。陛下のご命令さえなければ、今すぐにでも踏んじまってくれるというのに。
おいおい、そんな叫ぶなって。他の兵が寄ってきたらお互いに面倒だろ。
By now I'm fairly sure I know what Lupin had been up to since morning. All in all, a pretty tame public declaration of criminal intent. But for Victoria to personally appoint Captain Lionheart as our guide, what could Lupin have possibly asked of the Queen of England?
ともあれ、責務は果たそう。ついてきたまえ。
Led by Lionheart, Lupin and I fall into position and begin to walk. I find myself in the awkward position of stifling giggles along the way, amused by Lupin and Lionheart's exchanges. After passing through several stages of increasingly severe locked portals, the captain stops. We are very deep inside now. Ahead was a secret chamber that even Lupin would have difficulty gaining access to. The lock disengages with a clank, and the sturdy double doors swing open. I gasp involuntarily at the incredible sight that lay beyond. Oh, a library. A library? Some sort of book vault? A library it surely was not. I want to call it a bibliomanic fortress. Its imposing door was intimidating enough, but every shelf is locked individually, as some areas are partitioned off with chains. So he's taking her to a library to learn who Isaac was, the super secret Royal Society part of Isaac. I have no doubts there are volumes here written in long-dead languages from places vanished off the face of the earth. Lupin approaches the bookshelf closest at hand and whistles in admiration.
へえ、すげえもんだな。超一級の機密図書ばっかりじゃねえか。俺も泥棒家業をして随分経つが、こんだけのもんが一箇所にあるってのは、まずお目にかかれねえな。
Grimoires, Laborum Prohibitorum, forbidden methodologies. It's true, all of these are officially non-existent.
おお、こりゃどれを取っても外に漏れたらまずい情報ばっかだな。こっから持ち出すものによっちゃマジで国一つひっくり返るんじゃねえか。
楽しそうに言うな。縁起でもない。とにかくだ、ここに立ち入ることが許されるのは陛下をはじめごく限られたものだけ。本来ならこそ泥を通していい場所ではない。くれぐれも気をつけるように。
へいへい、わってるよ。で、例のものは。
Einhart nodded towards me rather than Lupin, his voice grave and weighty.
こちらの棚だ、カルディア君。
Einhart proceeds to unlock one compartment with a larger bookcase. The documents within are much more recent than the most of the specimens here. And there, Isaac Beckford, his name, engraved as clearly as day, were these really father's? They are a movable type, set manuscripts and dissertations, hand-lettered volumes, even loose leaves shoved into envelopes, bundles of letters from colleagues, a ragged notebook clearly used for years, erratic memos with notes in the margins. An absolutely staggering amount of documents. I wonder how one man could ever have written so much in a single lifetime.
アイザック・ベックフォードの関連物は学術的価値のないメモや書きつけに至るまでほぼ全て国家が厳重に管理している。
イギリスじゃアイザックは神格化されてる。その異物の影響は計り知れねえからな。
It almost doesn't feel real. The way Lupin speaks about father, I just can't relate. That wasn't the man I knew. Softly, wonderingly, I place a hand on the bookcase and gaze up at it. Words pour out of me in a hushed whisper. Did the government ever manage to find the documents we saw in the underground research facility?
ああ、一度は黄昏の手に渡っていたらしいが、その後取り返してる。ノーチラスが浮上した衝撃で地下の研究所自体は崩れちまって、今は立ち入ることすら不可能らしいけどよ。
Which would mean... Having no reply to give, I close my eyes. I feel so powerless at times like this. The only act I would be capable of here would be prayer, like mysterious, pious Saint Germain.
では、我が輩は入り口で待機していよう。何かあったら呼んでくれ。
You don't need to keep an eye on us.
無論、ルパン一人だったら瞬き一つせず監視するところだが、ルパンも君の前では卑怯なことはするまい。
大層な信頼ですこと。ま、とりあえずサンキューな。ほんと感謝してるよ、レオンのおっさん。
He watched as Lionheart took his position by the massive entrance, then turned to look at the daunting bookshelf. Lupin begins to examine the collection, rifling through one book after another, returning them to the shelf. But I was overwhelmed, frozen. So much information about my father spread out before me. Even after coming so far, I was scared, afraid of what I might find. I couldn't bear to look.
知りたいんだろ、カルディア。アイザックが何を考えていたのかを。
I know, I do. I nod ever so slightly and reach out towards the assembly of books. I'm drawn immediately to a small volume hidden amongst the massive dissertations among monographs, almost as if some unseen force was pulling me, coaxing me towards it. I take the slim book in my hands and stare at its cover. Lupin watches but remains silent. Somewhat unsteadily, I open the book. A musty aroma strikes me, redolent of bookish, as well as a scent that is somehow nostalgic. Immediately, I recognize the hand of my father. It is the same as all the letters I've read. These are no scientific notes. This is no hand-penned draft of some scholarly work. This is father's diary. Fearfully, I begin to turn the pages. I find no impenetrable scientific jargon, only trivial musings. They are clear and honest, his true thoughts. The wonder of seeing the great city of London for the first time, his hopes and concerns for the future, his joy at having his research valued, of sending for the woman he loved to join him in the city, of building a new home, his pure feelings of happiness at their modest wedding, and the future blessings it portended. The tears of joy he shed when his children were born, his gratitude towards God and the world he lived in, moving to distant Wales for the sake of his children, beginning life there anew. Then, today's entry.
今日は娘が初めて私をパパと呼んでくれた。妻とどちらが先に呼ばれるか競争していたが、私の方が早かったのがとても誇らしい。とはいえ息子はママの方が早かったから、勝負は引き分けといったところだろうか。ああ、こんな些細な幸せが本当に嬉しくて、研究にもついつい力が入ってしまう。この子たちが育つ未来を少しでも明るくするために、私の研究が役立てばいいのだが。
Today's entry.
子供たちが歩けるようになった。娘の方がやんちゃで活発らしく、この間は壁にぶつかって泣いていたと妻が苦笑していた。活発なのは嬉しいものの、できれば生傷はほどほどにしてほしいと思う。将来は素敵なレディーになるのだから。でも二人がもう少し歩けるようになったら、家族みんなで揃って遠出するのもいいだろう。王立協会の友人たちに子供も見せたいし、ロンドンなんてどうだろうか。そうだ、あそこがいい。私が以前よく訪れていたロンドンを一望できるあの場所に。きっと子供たちも喜んでくれる。あの場所は一人で見るにはもったいない美しい景色だから。
With each turn of the page, his kind voice rings in my head. Isaac, the mad scientist, the man who tried to plunge the world into eternal war. Isaac, the doting father, smiling benevolently as he penned his diary. I never imagined they could be the same person. I thought he had lost human emotions when he gained that terrible mechanical body. And yet, with each turn of the page, those desperate identities begin to intersect. Today's entry.
大きくなったらパパと結婚したい。まさか本当に言われる日が来るとは。妻は大笑いで今だけだと言っているが、感激のあまり抱き上げて頬ずりをしてしまった。今だけなのは分かってる。いずれこの子もフィーニスも育って私たちの元を巣立っていくのだろう。 でもどうかその日がゆっくり訪れてくれますように。
It's clear now. The father I knew, so full of love, and the tragic madness of Isaac Beckford. Both disparate identities were driven by the same well of emotion. I think back to when I was ensnared in the celestial sphere. I saw Father there as he once was, his true loving self before he met with such a terrible fate.
Cardia, フィーニス、二人とも誕生日おめでとう。お前たちを天から授かってもう5年。今年もこの日が祝えたことを心から感謝したい。せっかくの記念日だし、何か特別なことを書こうとも思うが、うまく思いつかない。弱った。どうしようか。そうだな。月並みだが、これからも元気に成長していってほしい。二人がどのように成長するか、神ならぬ私には分かるはずもないが。カルディア、そしてフィーニス。愛しい私の子供たち。私はただひたすらに願う。どうかその未来が多くの愛と祝福を受け、幸福に満ち溢れたものであるように。
That picture in that diary, it's cute. There the diary ended. He must have taken this book out countless times, staring at the words he had written. No more sentences followed, but there was this, a tattered and faded photograph. Father and mother smiling benevolently, a pair of siblings laughing together. The photograph was idyllic, happy faces bearing no hint of the tragedy to come. Happy faces that had once been ours. The tears came then, spilling in rivulets down my cheeks. Free of poison, they pattered to the floor, melting nothing. They all looked so happy, as happy a family as there ever was. But like the photograph itself, the happiness I see has long since faded. The faces warp and distort, occluded by a flow of tears that refuse to abate. I clutch the little diary against my chest. Lupin embraces me softly, steadying my shaking shoulders.
お前の知りたかったもの、ちゃんと手に入ったか?
Yes. My precious gentleman thief delicately wipes away the tears with his fingertips. One thing has become abundantly clear. Father's extraordinary genius. He was the man who had thrust the United Kingdom a century or more into the future, a man respected and feared, known far and wide as the modern Prometheus, a man who had attempted to play God. Isaac Beckford was a man who loved his family with all his heart, and yet he was also the man who had concocted a truly evil plan to force the world into a never-ending conflict. Be that as it may, he is also a father who loved his family.
父親ってのはそんなもんだ。俺も親はいねえが、大事な嫁さんができた今なら、アイザックの気持ちもわかるぜ。家族が大事で、何より愛してたんだろう。だからこそ、失った家族を取り戻したかったんだ。
Even if it meant stepping foot into the most forbidden of scientific territories, even if it meant destroying everything else in his life, even if it meant turning the entire world against him, he wanted his beloved family back. That was the single wish Father was attempting to fulfill. After all this time, I finally understand. I'll never be able to forgive Father and Finis for what they did. They caused unimaginable destruction and suffering. They tore lives apart in the name of their plan. But that doesn't change the fact that they were family. Even if it wasn't the family Father had tried so hard to regain, nor the love and acceptance Finis longed so desperately for. Even if it wasn't what I had wished for deep within my heart, it was family.
Ah,
Lupin tightens his grip on my shoulders, looks me in the eye and nods.
みんなどこかで夢を見続けてたんだろうよ。
Dreaming? Like the dream I had at the time I was not me, I suppose. I look back forward my father and Finis, my brother. Trying and failing over and over, confronted with reality, feeling the sting of despair. All to chase after dreams they hoped they would never wake up from.
いつか全てが終わったらもう一度本当の家族になれる。愛することができる。そんな風にな。
I silently nod. I wish that I had been shown more love. I wish I had been able to show more. If my fate had somehow been different, I may have been able to. For a moment I felt sweet yet sorrowful pangs of longing, but then they were gone. Both of them are no more. Thanks to Lupin, I'm finally able to hold hands to touch people, but my father and brother have moved on to a place I cannot touch. Exhaling softly, I flip through the diary once more. It is so very full of familial love.
お前は愛されてたんだ。父に、母に、そして弟にも。
Yes, me. I'm sure she loved them too. Our dear, dear family. They will never regain the family I lost. That wish will remain forever unfulfilled. I must make peace with the simple truth that they are in my past. What? Isaac's entry seemed to have concluded, but a new photograph leapt out at me after turning several blank pages.
これは
It took a few moments before I could make out what was written there. It seemed like a scribble, yet it had been penned in a firm hand. If the day should come that my physical body dies and its warmth fades, should there be a time when I may embrace you no longer, I promise that my feelings will remain. To my most beloved family, may you be granted happiness everlasting. I thought she said there was a picture. Oh, a paragraph. I said photograph. My bad. Paragraph. The entry bears no date. There's no way to guess when it had been written. I swear I have dyslexia sometimes. I probably do. I can see the words, but my mind reads something else. All that I can be sure of is that these words are intended to be read in the future. But which Isaac wrote them? Again, I have no way of knowing. But one thing is absolutely clear. I think he wrote that after the fire, obviously, because he had already been planning stuff at that point. It sounds like the warmth of his emotion, wishing for his family's happiness, is still there. I assess the feel of the battered diary with my closed eyes and gauge its weight. I don't know quite how to say it, but the me who is not me, she feels it too. Some essence here is still alive. I don't want to deny it a place. Those are the words I spoke, strange as they were to hear.
だったらそのままでいい。
Lupin draws me closer and I lean my head on his chest. This is the man whom I vowed to spend my life, sealing it with a blessed kiss.
これからは俺が愛してやる。これからは俺も愛してやる。
A kiss not only for him, but to represent the new family we were together.
アイザックやフィニスの分も。いや、それより何倍も何十倍も。このアルセーヌ・ルパンがお前のことを幸せにしてやる。
I'll love you too, Lupin. Let's be happy together.
ああ、必ず。絶対にな。
I heard the fluttering sound. The photograph wedged in the diary I still held had fallen from its pages. A very special photograph, as if literally cut out of the past. In the image, my father smiled. In the image, he would smile forever. As if...
愛してるよ、カルディア、フィーニス。
As if blessing our future. Oh, it's so sweet. They're by far my favorite couple. I think Lupin expresses his passion for her the best out of everyone. I forgot what I was going to say. Oh yeah, before that all started, I'm like, man, this whole episode is just them in a library. Or a book vault. Code Relays. The conclusion, a single scientist, a single man, found beyond the depths of despair, all traces of happiness lost. He was to transform himself into a deity of iron and steam, embroiling the entire world in never-ending rage of warfare. It was a plan born of sheer madness, its goal to accelerate the advancement of technology through internal conflict. But was it truly war he had hoped to realize? Why else assign his plan such a code name? I think the answer was much simpler. The man who fancied himself a mechanical god had desires more earthly than divine. He wanted to see his family again. He wanted to bring them back, so that he could love them forever. It was a small, humble, thoroughly human wish. Steel London. A city standing at the pinnacle where science met steam, architected by Isaac Beckford. I stood atop the great outer wall that encircled the city, offering unparalleled views of the streets below. The wind ruffles my hair as I stare blankly out at the vast metropolis. Like, I remember this too. This is like Lupin's favorite spot in all of London or something like that. The day was finally come when Impy is to depart for America. All of our friends, Lupin's gang, had gathered at St. Germain's for a farewell party last night, staying up until dawn. There was a sense of unreality to saying goodbye while the events we all lived through were still so fresh in my memory. And yet, each of us are indeed setting off to seek our own individual dreams. Today is sure to mark a significant before and after point of our lives. It should be any moment now. The first gust strikes me as I say the words. The restless thrumming of mechanical wings bear from the distant sky. I can't help but feel a thrill to hear it. I associate the sound with adventure and events in motion. The buzzing grows louder and louder, and I am almost blown off my feet by a powerful blast of air. Above the din, a familiar voice.
Cardia-chan! Omatase!
Oh my goodness. Impy. I look up at the sky and wave expansively. Impy enthusiastically returns my way from the ornithopter's pilot seat. Seated next to him, looking more like cargo than a passenger.
Lupin 一丁お届けに上がりました
Order of Lupin.
おい、インピってね有無を言わさず縛り上げて連行とか何の真似だ
Tie him up? Oh my goodness. At sight, I never expected to see Lupin with his wrists and ankles bound, fuming. I am hit with a sudden premature pain of sadness. I won't be hearing this familiar banter of theirs much longer. But sadness is simply not on the menu today. I must see Impy off with a smile that matches his own. Thanks for the delivery, Impy. Maybe you should untie him now.
かわいいカルディアちゃんのお願いとあらばルパンの人権は基本的に無視の方向で
Oh my goodness.
なんだそりゃつうかインピお前あいつも巻き込んだのかよ
ちっちょっと誤解してるぜルパンこれは彼女の希望なんだからさ
はあ意味わからねえ
つうわけで話はここまであとは本人に聞いてちょうだいなっと
What?
うわ
No sooner had I noticed Impy had cracked open the cockpit hatch as he kicked Lupin through it. While still bound, of course. Oh my goodness. With no choice but to battle against the inevitable forces of gravity. Lupin masterfully unties his own ropes, flips gracefully, and lands on his feet. Of course he does. Quite worthy of applause, actually.
あっぶねえおいこらインピ今の俺じゃなかったら死んでたぞ
That's why he wouldn't do it to anyone else. Lupin glares up at the sky, clearly angered. But Impy had already shut the hatch and simply flashes us a thumbs up sign.
そんじゃあな相棒そしてカルディアちゃんまたね
Is that thing really going to make it over the ocean? His cheery voice, a perfect tonal match with the bright blue sky, grew distant even as the shouted his farewell from the ornithopter. See you too, Impy. I wave as I had never waved before. I wanted to be absolutely certain Impy noticed it as far as he was now, his ornithopter hurtling towards the horizon.
たくインピの野郎別れ際にまで無茶しやがって
Lupin continues to mutter under his breath, but his words are drowned out by the wind. It'll be a substantial separation from the one friend who stuck by him the longest. There's no way it won't affect him. After he lowers his eyes from the sky, I approach slowly. Lupin?
ああ悪いなこんな日まであいつのバカに付き合わせちまって
Not at all. I'm the one who asked him to bring you here.
ああそっかそうだったなあいつもそんなこと言ってたな
Well, I did, but I didn't request the rope. I think Impy threw that one in for fun. Lupin's eyes widen as if regarding me in a way he hadn't before. I giggle at his most un-Lupin expression. I have a present. This is the only place I could give it to you. Oh, really?
お、なんだか知らねえが、お前からのプレゼントなら大喜びで受け取らせてもらうぜ。
I'm glad. All right then. I place the city of London at my back, spread my arms out wide, and pirouette in place. I don't know what that means. I swing an arm forward to point at the great city of still London itself. Myriad plumes of steam billow up from below, impossible massive gears groan as they move, airships taking flight, slowly, carefully. The city that never grows old, presenting a new side of itself every time you look. Standing here on the outer wall, you can survey its entire expanse. This is the city my father, Isaac, caused to spring into existence. Lupin, I wanted to show you this view.
へえ。
Maybe it was Saint Germain's favorite place then. I read every word of Father's diaries. He wrote about this exact spot, or maybe it was Isaac's. I don't know. It's someone's favorite spot. Together at Buckingham Palace, we discovered my father Isaac Beckford's diary. Oh, it's still the same day, huh? There was yet more to find even after the poignant message. Its latter half was sporadic, leaping about in time with lengthy gaps, some pages little more than angry scribbles. The final date was from just a few years ago, an entry written during construction of the city's infrastructure. The place we're standing was originally a hill. When Father lived here, he would often visit this very spot. This is the place with the spectacular view he wrote about, the place he wanted to bring his children someday. Even during the most active periods of construction, Father would come to this place and gaze upon the city and enjoy the breeze. Although by then he had probably begun his descent into madness, was probably even well on his way to perfecting Code Realize. But even so, when he looked out on the city from this spot, he was able to reconnect with his intrinsic gentleness. I think Father felt affection for the city was his bringing into the world. Even if the city did constitute part of his grand plan, his code, he raised and nurtured it as one might their own children. He was still holding on to the dream of one day bringing his reconstructed family here to simply enjoy the view of London. The proof is in the view itself. None other can compare. The beauty and majesty I see from this vantage point capture the heart. If Finnish truly had acquired Father's knowledge, I wonder if he came here too. I think Finnish did come there, one of the probably Lupins, because that's his most active route. When everything was starting to fall into place with his plan, I think he was up there. For here was where our father's grand achievements could be felt most palpably. Surely he would have felt it standing here, knew that it was father's favorite. Of course I will never know for sure. I like this city. You and Impy, Victor, Saint Germain, Van Helsing and Delhi, Cece, Sholmes, even Queen Victoria. This is the place I met those important to me, where my best memories were forged. Like your only memories, besides your past. When I think of all the things I have yet to experience here, the events to come, I feel that I'll appreciate the city even more. This place of laughter, of tears, this place that so many call home, even after the horrors it faced, a close look reveals the citizenry that is very much alive, their hopes and dreams untarnished. You're really sad. The engineer grips his control rods firmly. Powerful steam-driven vibrations from the ornithopter resonate throughout his body. In the rear-facing mirror mounted above them, the reflections of a girl and her beloved atop the outer wall of London. He had flown too far to hear them now. Looking up through the glass canopy of the cockpit, beyond the puffs of steam, beyond the clouds, he sees vast endless blue sky.
ちょっと、何が終わっただよ、インピーバーベキュー。
He's like talking to himself. This is funny.
終わったどころか、この先じゃん。俺とじいさんの目指したもんはさ。
Gripping the control rods with renewed strength, Impy looked straight ahead.
さて、行きますかね。科学は希望の塊だってことを、この天才技師が証明してやるぜ。まずはアメリカ、それから月へ一直線ってね。
The engine sounding like nothing so much as the roar of an adorning crowd, the ornithopter stretched in an impressive arc as it rises, cutting through the wind, slicing through the clouds, speeding towards the future. I feel like this story has I feel like the story has more of an ending for the other people than all the other ones. Everyone's like, they all went their separate directions, and this one, it like gives them a proper goodbye. The young chemical wizard's eardrums are tickled by a far-off sound, and he looks to the sky. Pure white clouds in a bright sunny sky. Birds crisscross in flight overhead. A typical sight, until a familiar flapping shape streaks across the expanse, catching Victor's eye.
オーニソプターで旅立ちか。なんだか君らしいね、インピ。
As Victor says these words to himself, the airframe picks up speed, glinting in the sun. Somehow it felt like Impy was sending him a reply, so Victor waved back just in case.
どうかした、シュタイン博士。もうじき会談が始まる時間よ。
非人道兵器の制限条約か。最初に聞いた時は夢物語だと思ったが、
こうして多国間協議にまでこぎつけるなんて、以前のあなたからは想像もできない行動力ね。
だとしたら仲間たちのおかげかな。誰だって殺されるのは嫌なものだよ。でも相手が武装するからって自分も武装せざるを得ない。僕はこの条約がそんな疑心暗鬼を少しでも取り払うことにつながるって信じてる。さあ行こう、ビクトリア。今度こそ僕は逃げたりしない。この手でできることをするためにね。
あれはフーランか。随分と忙しそうだな。
Van Helsing watched the familiar figure walk through the palace hallway from afar, narrowing his eyes in thought. A shrill voice soon rings from behind, announcing its owners unmistakably. This is gonna be Billy, isn't it?
おーい何をしておるのだヘルシング
To lower my volume.
エンフィールド公爵が呼んでおるぞ。そろそろロンドンを立つとのことだ。
The one-time vampire slayer indicates his understanding by raising his hand in the Child King's general direction.
まったく各地へ行ったり来たりで最近は腰を落ち着ける暇もないな。
He holsters the shotgun he carries along his back. The weight is as familiar as ever, but its heft has changed. Perhaps it's because the bullets within are no longer carry the taint of revenge.
復讐のために戦うよりも守るための戦いの方がよほどやりごたえがある。
His friends had taught him that lesson, the ones he met here in this very city. Raising his hand to acknowledge Dracula's voice, Van Helsing turns away from his past, striding towards the gates of London. And then Saint Germain, alone in his mansion. Poor Saint Germain. Okay, you have Cece.
ああ、いけない。少しまどろんでしまったようですね。どうにもこの穏やかさは眠気を誘う。私も年ということでしょうか。
Saint Germain relaxes in his chair in the airy courtyard, idly petting the frolicsome Cece and regarding the deep blue sky. It was a sky he had seen tens of thousands of times before, one he was sure would never change. Yet it now appeared more beautiful than he had ever imagined. Surely the changes in his very being were the cause. For today's high tea, the former poured an appropriately chilled floral. Did he ask for his immortality to be revoked? Filling 2 dainty teacups, he offered one to the person sitting across from him.
たまにはご一緒にいかがです？
残念だけど遠慮しておくわ。少し様子見に来ただけだから。以前とは随分印象が違うわね。まるで別人のようよ、サンジェルマン。
いいえ、私は私ですよ。今は以前よりも少しだけ自然と笑みが浮かぶようになった。ただそれだけです。
He's at peace with his new life.
そう。それは幸せなことね。
Guinevere pauses for a moment. Perhaps she gave the faintest of smiles, even the ever-perceptive Saint Germain could not be sure.
さて、次の任務が待っているし、私はそろそろ行くわ。ただの人間となったあなたとは、もう会えないかもしれないけれど。あなたが天寿を全うするときには、看取りにでも来てあげましょう。
You're going to give him the option of becoming an apostle once again when he dies.
ではその時をゆっくり待つとしましょう。
Sipping at his exotic tea, Saint Germain sits back in his garden chair. Absent-mindedly, he strokes the timepiece he wears around his neck.
さて、長い長い私の人生ももうじき終わり。残された時間はどうしましょうか。
I think Saint Germain's ending in all of this is the saddest of all because he becomes mortal and then he is going to spend the rest of his days alone in a mansion. I guess Lupin and Cardia are probably going to stay in London, so I guess he has those friends, but like, well, I guess Victor's there too, but I don't know. They all just leave his mansion. He becomes mortal and then he's just like lives alone now. Poor guy. I guess Impy's the only one that actually left. I think Van Helsing, his stuff is probably going to take him in and out of the country too.
そうですね、シシ。私は皆がいつでも帰って来られる場所を守っていきましょうか。不思議ですね。未来のことを考えるのがこんなにも楽しいなんて。
Like, I think we get one more CG, but we'll see. A rush of emotions flow through me, almost as if I am experiencing everything he's made me feel all at once. Lupin? I don't have any money. I have hardly any possessions. I can give you nothing. Even so, I need to express my feelings. That's why I brought you here. I want to give you this view, this vista my father left me. I'm sorry it isn't something tangible. As my words trailed off, Lupin's casual smile only grew into a beaming grin.
形なんて関係ねえよ。他でもねえお前が俺に渡したいと思ってくれたものなんだからよ。それに
Lupin takes my arm, pulling me closer.
よく見てみろよ。 この景色、まるで宝石箱みてえじゃねえか。
A treasure chest?
そうさ。触ることのできねえ宝石を目いっぱい詰め込んだ宝石箱だ。思い出や感情って名前の宝石をな。お前にももちろんあるだろ。
Yes, I do. So very many, right here. I place a hand to my chest.
そういうこった。だからありがとよ、カルディア。お前と並ぶ最高のお宝じゃねえか。その両方を一度に手に入れられるなんて、俺は世界一の幸せ者だよ。
Lupin. Smiling as I draw close, about to embrace my gentleman thief. Like an anime cutscene. Such a pretty image. What? Pure white petals dance in the air. Lightly they tickle my cheeks, whirling and eddying in the breeze before hurling away over the city below. It felt as though London's famous rains had been replaced by flowers. Oh my. It's like magic. I had no idea your sleight of hand was this impressive, Lupin. I don't think it's him. Lupin?
いや、これは俺じゃねえ。俺が用意したもんじゃねえよ。
But
こんなこと本当に起こるのか。さすがの俺も驚いたぜ。
you mean this was a coincidence?
ああ、そうだな。けどこういう時はもっとふさわしい表現があるだろう。
What miracle? I take a moment to think on his words. A moment was all it took. The words seemed to escape my lips before I even had thought of it. It's a miracle, yep.
なあ、俺とお前が結婚式を挙げて1週間。
Wow, just a week.
少し遅れて祝福をもらったのさ。この町の作り主から。
I didn't need to ask who he meant. Taking me by the arm, Lupin leads me along the wall's perimeter towards the city. All we could hear was the hustle and bustle of London and the gentle murmur of the wind. A cacophony of sound, yet somehow merging into one cohesive whole. It was a voice I shouldn't possibly be able to hear. And yet there it was, and it was saying, "Congratulations." I wonder if Lupin could hear it as well.
改めて言わせてもらうぜ。アイザック・ベックフォード。お前の娘はこの泥棒紳士アルセーヌ・ルパンがいただいた。
Everything he says, he speaks in terms of thief and treasure and prize, and it's so adorable. He's been claimed.
そして絶対に幸せにしてみせる。あんたの気づいたこの街の中でな。
Lupin's thought echoes throughout my being. I may not have his eloquent command of language, but there were words of my own I had to say. Father, the happiness you so very much wanted to regain, the love and acceptance Finis sought with all his heart. I want to share that with Lupin. I want to understand what love truly is. And so I thank you. I promise I will be happy. Having read Father's diary, absorbing its heartfelt message of happiness, I finally feel that I've laid down the foundation for my own. Petals continue to fall upon the splendid city of science, steel, steam, and gears. In the light of the sun, they glimmer like jewels. Lupin, I want to ask you to grant my wish again, the very first one. Embraced with Lupin's warmth of the wind whipping about us, perhaps I was reminded of the night we met. The words I spoke then came back to me. I want to touch you. I want to feel your warmth. Everything had begun with that wish.
承知しました。美しいお嬢さん。
Lupin radiated the same confidence he did that night. But his voice was far more tender, and he spoke with a smile.
このアルセーヌ・ルパンの名にかけて、その願い、今この場で。
The kiss. The kiss was the most gentle, warm, and true one we had yet shared. It was as though we beat with one heart. Neither of us asked for it, neither of us initiated it. Our hearts and minds acted in unison. Never before had a kiss been so right. So perfectly at ease did I feel time cease to have meaning. Enveloped in the embrace of the blessings of all creation, Lupin and I remained locked in the kiss for what may have been an eternity.
愛してるぜ、カルディア。
I love you too. I was not born a monster. I was fashioned by a man who yearned for love, saved by the hands of the man I love. I learned to love and be loved. I learned the truth of family. And that is who I am. A soul with love to offer, love to accept, and love to share. No, I was not born a monster. I was born me. I feel like Lupin's end is like the true end of even the after stories. Like, there's a main... it feels like there's like a main guy character of this game, and it's Lupin, the true story of the whole entire game. But anyway, there is Arsene Lupin's story. It feels like the ending of the game. Maybe I should have done it last. I don't know, but it doesn't matter what what order you do them in, because there's just endings from the original stories. Though there's no spoilers in any of them. This feels like the end of the game. I'm gonna go to this page so it doesn't keep trying to start up the song on me. But yeah, as I was saying, it feels like this is like the ending of the game, which is kind of unfortunate because the other endings are going to be lackluster compared to this one. But it is what it is. Lupin's third. I think I'll save Finis for last because that could feel like an end to the game as well. She got her happily ever after with her brother. So let's see who's next. I got either Victor or Impy, and then Sholmes, and then Finis. So. And then there's another girl. I don't know if you guys want me to do her or not. I can if you want me to. I forget her name. Let's see. Okay, so there is... what's her name? It doesn't even tell me her name. So there's this girl too. If you guys want me to do her, I can. It's just another story, like it says there. So I don't even remember who she is. I don't know if I read her or not in my original playthrough or not. I think I did, but I got really bored and I've completely forgotten about the whole story, kind of like how I almost did for Van Helsing and Impy. But so let me know if you guys want me to do hers and where you want me to do hers at. It could be at the end, I guess, before fitness or whatever. So as always, if you like, to drop a thumbs up down below or subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.